So this is paused here, but I'd like to introduce you to 0xDEADBEAF. Now this is going to start very quick because you're going to realize how absolutely blatant this player is. And for the last 1,000 battles, basically 1,000 battles, he has been full-on cheating. Now, his squadron's different, but he's in Yoko. So if you know anyone in Yoko, this squadron right here, he's cheating. This is a quote-unquote competitive squadron in Yoko, and he's a blatant cheater. He is a 6-to-1 in the vehicle he's playing right now. He's a 10-to-1 in the TVT5. He's a 4-to-1 in that, 2-to-1 in that, 3-to-1 in that, 3-to-1 in 4-to-1 in that. Yeah, it just goes on. But 2,600 kills in the IKB-91, and you're about to see how crazily blatant this is, and yet no one clearly cares for 1,000 battles. Right here in about 2 seconds. There you go. So, as of the 3rd of July, Gaijin did a quote-unquote ban wave. I was told this ban wave was a lot of automated and automated and manual bans. Gaijin apparently got a lot of them wrong. Some of the automated bans were apparently sound mod bans. One of the posts I saw recently actually had a person getting banned because they apparently had a sound mod ban. Now, one of the forum posts I saw was a person who claimed their account got hacked, which I thought was, I think, hilarious because their behavior didn't change between the 50 or so or 10 or so odd replays. Oh, also, I'm going to show you something else with this player. So he is obviously it's in a Russian squadron, Necrontier or whatever. He says farmable squadron, whatever. But there's another thing with these guys' records that I want to put out as something that is you tend to only see on cheaters. So these are your stats for the last month. Okay, he has 1,300 kills, 86 deaths in the last month. Now, granted, I don't know when this resets. I think it's just over your last 30 days technically, but he is insanely good. So in the last month, he is 94% at top 1 or top 2 on the team. He is 17th place on that team, or in that leadership leadership role, and he's just extremely good when it comes to a record like this. His win rate is 87%. He's 50th place on that win rate ratio, and he's 17 on that medal thing. Okay. Most people, now granted, there are some legit players on that list. I know a lot of OLYST members that have very good records, and they are very good players because they are very good at the game, and yet they sit on that, and it's completely legitimate. However, I know at least, I would say, of the past couple weeks that I've looked at cheaters, I don't always post that information, but I know a lot of these guys are like top 50 or top 100 in that 30-day listing or that monthly listing, and they'll sit there forever because their quote-unquote win rate or kill rate is so good, so they are just extremely good at getting first or second or third place on the team at all times. So I don't know why Gaijin wouldn't just immediately flag players like that and say, hey, your account is under suspicion. We're going to review your account and see what's going on here. Wouldn't be a problem if their software would just detect this problem in the first place. Like, I don't know, going back to your old software, which actually freaking worked. I've looked at old footage from like pre EAC times, and it blows me away that the cheaters that I've seen back before then were obviously super subtle, and back then pre-EAC you would only see about anywhere from like the ban list would be like anywhere from like 20 to like a couple hundred players. Not like, I think the biggest I saw was like 200-ish players total. So that should show you that it's gone up 1,000% since then. So we've gone from 20 to 20 to whatever to 2,000-ish per time. And you can see he's shooting this guy in their spawn like, actually, I'll give you a reference. He is here on the map. He's at B1 on the map. And look where he's at. He's at E6, all the way to the top corner of the map on European Providence. 3 kilometers away. And you're telling me that this is not being detected? Like, are you kidding me? Look at that. That is the most blatant cheating I have seen in such a short time that I don't know how this is not detected. This is a player that is like a 6-to-1 with 2,000 kills. This is like the guys that we saw recently with, what's it called? The Vidar player that we saw a while ago. Apparently, I did 2 videos on him unknowingly because he was, he had changed his name between the time I recorded it and the time I had checked on it, and I didn't double check that the replay had gotten corrected. Now, granted, he dies here because he totally deserves to die. From an SK105, which has a very good autoloader. Now, that was a great shot, but he also probably laser range-finded that guy. So, it's to the point where I'm looking at this going, this is a player that is blatantly obvious, and he got 1 kill, 1 death because he's shooting people at 3 kilometers, and the only person he killed was the most obvious and painful cheat shot that I've seen in so long that you're telling me that he is now just going to be doing this stuff where he automatically ranges his sight to 2 kilometers so he can shoot guys from across the map. Because he's looking at the range. He's not using his laser rangefinder. This thing has a laser rangefinder. He's not going to use it because he's looking at people in the exact range from distance. And this is a account with 1,000 battles. So if you're going to do based on math, this is like a 500 or 600 battle account because you're going to average based on... Battles tend to be 6 to 10 minutes on average. They can run longer, obviously, but at the BRs that he's playing, they tend to be longer because people actually spawn in, unlike 10.0, where matches are like at max like 5 minutes or 5-6 minutes. So you're having longer matches, so this player has been playing for potentially, I would say, 400 to 600 hours and has been cheating that entire time. And Gaijin still has to do everything manually because they don't have enough people to develop this system. They don't have an anti-cheat that works, and if they just went back to their old system, which I don't even know if they could anymore, it would literally not have any issues. So they went from developing their own anti-cheat, which worked, to an anti-cheat that doesn't work, and now they have to deal with 10x the cheaters that they did. Actually, this is like 100x the cheaters that they did 3 years ago. So they are actually having to put more work in to find the cheaters than they would have had just developing their own anti-cheat, which honestly I think is probably taking away from their profit margin more than helping them. Now, granted, I don't understand a lot of business sense in that regard, but if you're telling me that your labor costs have not gone up significantly since having to review and manually ban all these players since pre-EAC, which, granted, back then there was probably only around 60,000 or 50,000 players max, instead of like 100 to 200,000 people sort of playing kind of regularly, 100 to 200,000 sort of on a swing for a day. So you're telling me that it's totally fine for them to do stuff like that and just waste time instead of developing the game or doing some more stuff on it? It does make me wonder how many people actually Gaijin hires to review cheats on a consistent basis, and like how many people are on their security team, because if it's their full-time job to do this, that is miserable. That is also incredibly stupid that you would allow that to be just the whole focus of the way that it is. Because if you have an anti-cheat, obviously you have security that works, but your whole point is you have a security team that works on the game and works to get out patches. But if you're not doing anything with the security, then you're not doing it correctly. The whole point of a security team is to fight alongside the game while updating it to make sure everything works. If you're not going to do that, then you're not managing your game correctly. And as we can see, Gaijin is not managing their game correctly, just based on the simple fact of what we're seeing here in the past 300 plus videos. So as always, I'm going to leave this here because this guy is just blatantly obvious, shooting people from, you know, anywhere from 1 to 3 kilometers away without visual sight reference. And somehow missing. with cheats on and doing stuff like this. So, like I said, as always, I hope you have a good rest of your morning, day, evening, or night. And I'm going to leave this here, and have a good one.